Good morning. This is Miss Nancy coming to you from the Upper Chichester Library in Upper Chichester, Pennsylvania. Hope you had a nice weekend playing out of doors in pretty good weather still, and that you're ready to settle in for some stories this morning. Now today, rather than start with nursery rhymes like I usually do, I'm going to start with some poems that go along with these illustrations of Eric Carle's animals. His illustrations are very colorful and very interesting. I thought you might enjoy some of these poems. And this is a wonderful picture of an elephant. The elephant is quite a beast. He's rather large, to say the least. And though his size is most impressive, the elephant is not aggressive. The elephant is never aggressive. He never throws his weight around. Still, he always holds his ground. He only wants to feel secure. Long may the elephant endure. Now, the next picture we have here is of a kangaroo, and it's called Travel Plans. If I could go anywhere, here's what I'd do. I'd pop in the pouch of a kind kangaroo. I'd travel around as long as I pleased and learn to say thank you in kangaroo-ese. Let's see what the next poem is. Oh, we have the sea here. And this is called A Seal Lullaby. And it's a poem by Rudyard Kipling. Oh, hush thee, my baby, the night is behind us, and black are the waters that sparkled so green. The moon o'er the combers looks downward to find us, at rest in the hollows that rustle between. Where bellows meet bellow, there soft be thy pillow. Ah, weary wee flipperling, curl at thy ease. The storm shall not wake thee, no shark overtake thee, asleep in the arms of the slow, swinging seas. Okay, now we have three animals here. First we have a tortoise and a hedgehog, or a porcupine. They're both the same. This also is a poem by Rudyard Kipling. Can't curl, but can swim. Slow, solid, that's him. Curls up, but can't swim. Stickily, prickly, that's him. And over here we have a very colorful squirrel. And this one's called Busy, and it's written by Phyllis Halloran. Busy, 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 busy little squirrel, running, running, jumping in a dizzy whirl. Stopping now and then to eat a tasty little acorn treat. Busy, 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 busy little squirrel. And I'm sure that you are probably seeing squirrels being very busy right now too, as they store acorns for their winter snooze. Okay, oh, we have a beautiful butterfly here. And it is a very short poem by Benjamin Franklin. What is a butterfly? At best, he's but a caterpillar dressed. And that is a wonderful picture of a butterfly. And now we'll do one more. Oh, we have a big green alligator. And this is a poem by Lewis Carroll. And it's called How Doth the Little Crocodile? How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with greatly smiling jaws. We think that's all we will read from this today. And now we will start with some stories. Now, I have read to you before some of the Thomas Tank Engine stories, and I thought I would read some other ones to you. These are stories that my little grandson, who is 4 years old, enjoys as well. And it's about a magical railroad where all the trains have names and they can talk to each other. So naturally, it's magical. This first picture is, I think this is about Duck. His name is Duck. Duck is very proud of being Great Western. He talks endlessly about it, but he works hard too and makes everything go like clockwork. It was a really splendid day. The cars and coaches behaved well. The passengers even stopped grumbling. But the engines didn't like having to bustle about. There are two ways of doing things, Duck told them, the Great Western way or the wrong way. And I'm the Great Western way, he said. Don't we know it, they groaned. The engines were glad when a visitor came. He purred smoothly towards them. Sir Topham Hatt introduced him. Here is Diesel. I have agreed to give him a trial. He needs to learn. Please teach him, Duck. Good morning, purred Diesel in an oily voice. Pleased to meet you, Duck. Is that James and Henry and Gordon too? I am delighted to meet such famous engines. The silly engines were quite flattered. He has very good manners, they murmured. We are pleased to have him in our yard. Let's see if that pleasure remains. Duck had his doubts. Come on, he said. Diesel purred after him. You're worthy, Top. Sir Topham Hatt to you, ordered Duck. Diesel looked hurt. You're worthy? Sir Topham Hatt thinks I need to learn. He is mistaken. We Diesels don't need to learn. We know everything. We come to the yard and improve it. We are revolutionary. Oh, said Duck. If you're so revolutionary, perhaps you would collect my cars while I fetch Gordon's coaches. Diesel, delighted to show off, purred away. When Duck returned, Diesel was trying to take some cars from a siding. They were old and empty. They had not been touched for a long time, and Diesel found them hard to move. Pull, push, backwards, forwards. Oh, the cars groaned. We can't, we won't. Duck watched with interest. Diesel lost patience. Roar, he roared, and gave a great heave. The cars jerked forward. Oh, they screamed. We can't, we won't. Some of their brakes snapped and the gear jammed in the sleepers. Grrr, grrr. Ho, 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 chuckled Duck. Diesel recovered and tried to push the cars back, but they wouldn't move. Duck ran quietly round to collect the other cars. Thank you for arranging these, Diesel. I must go now. Don't you want this lot? No, thank you. Well, Diesel gulped, and I've taken all this trouble. Why didn't you tell me? You never asked me. Besides, said Duck, you were having such fun being revolutionary or whatever it was you said. Goodbye. Sometimes when you go to a new place, it's important to try to learn from the people who are already there, to learn about it. Grrr. Diesel had to help the workmen clear the mess. He hated it. All the cars were laughing and singing at him. Cars are waiting in the yard, tackling them with ease. Show the world what I can do, gaily boasts the Diesel. In and out he creeps about like a big black weasel. When he pulls the wrong cars out, pop goes the diesel. Here he is growling again. Brrr, growled Diesel. He scuttled away to sulk in the shed. Diesel, the new engine, was sulking. The freight cars would not stop singing rudely at him. Duck was horrified. "Shut up," he ordered, and bumped them hard. "I'm sorry our cars were rude to you, Diesel." Diesel was still furious. "It's all your fault. You made them laugh at me." Here's Diesel right here. "Nonsense," said Henry. "Duck would never do that. We engines have our differences, but we never talk about them to the cars. That would be disgraceful," said Gordon. "Disgusting," put in James. "Despicable," finished Henry. Diesel hated Duck. He wanted him to be sent away, so he made a plan. He was going to tell lies about Duck. Oh, that is not a good thing to do. Sometimes that happens in real life. People tell lies about each other. Next day he spoke to the cars. "I see you like jokes. You made a good joke about me yesterday. I laughed and laughed. Duck told me one about Gordon. I'll whisper it. Don't tell Gordon I told you." And he snickered away. "Ha, ha, ha," guffawed the cars. "Gordon will be cross with Duck when he knows. Let's tell him and get back at Duck for bumping us." They laughed rudely at the engines as they went by. Soon, Gordon, Henry, and James found out why. "Disgraceful," said Gordon. "Disgusting," said James. "Despicable," said Henry. "We cannot allow it." They consulted together. "Yes," they said, "he did it to us. We'll do it to him and see how he likes it." Duck was tired out. The cars had been cheeky and troublesome. He wanted to rest in the shed. The three engines barred his way. "Whoosh, keep out," they said. "Stop fooling," said Duck. "I'm tired." "So are we," hissed the engines. "We are tired of you. We like Diesel." "We don't like you. You tell tales about us to the cars." "I don't." "You do." "I don't." "You do," they said. Sir Topham Hatt came to stop the noise. "Duck called me a galloping sausage," spluttered Gordon. "Rusty red scrap iron," hissed James. "And I'm old square wheels," fumed Henry. "Well, Duck?" Duck considered. "I only wish, sir," he said gravely, "that I'd thought of those names myself. If the dome fits—" "He made the cars laugh at us," accused the engines. Sir Topham Hatt recovered. He was trying not to laugh himself. "Did you, Duck?" "Certainly not, sir. No steam engine would be as mean as that." Diesel lurked up. "Now, Diesel, you heard what Duck said." "I can't understand it, sir. To think that Duck, of all engines— I'm dreadfully grieved, sir, but you know—" "Nothing." "I see," said Sir Topham Hatt. Diesel squirmed and hoped that he didn't see. "I'm sorry, Duck, but you must go to Edward's station for a while. I know he'll be glad to see you." "As you wish, sir." Duck trundled sadly away, while Diesel smirked in triumph. Duck, the great Western engine, puffed sadly to Edward's station. "It's not fair," he complained. "Diesel has been telling lies about me, and made Sir Topham Hatt and all the engines think I'm horrid." Edward smiled. "I know you aren't, and so does Sir Topham Hatt. You wait and see. Why don't you help me with all of these cars?" Duck felt happier with Edward and set to work at once. The cars were silly, and they were heavy, and they were noisy. The two engines had to work very hard, pushing and pulling all afternoon. At last they reached the top of the hill. Goodbye, whistled Duck, and rolled gently over the crossing to the other line. Duck loved coasting down the hill, running easily with the wind and whistling past. Suddenly there was a tweet. It was the conductor's warning whistle. "Hurrah, hurrah!" laughed the cars. "We've broken away! We've broken away! Chase him, bump him, throw him off the rails," they yelled. Oh, these cars are very cheeky. "Hurry, Duck, hurry," said the driver. They raced through Edward Station, but the cars were catching up. "As fast as we can. They'll catch us gradually," the driver was gaining some control. "Another clear mile and we'll do it. Oh, glory, look at that." James was just pulling out on their line from the station ahead. Any minute they could crash. "It's up to you now, Duck," cried the driver. Duck put every ounce of weight and steam against the cars. "It's too late," Duck groaned and shut his eyes. He veered onto a siding where a barber had set up shop. He was shaving a customer, as you can see. The silly cars had knocked their conductor off his van and left him far behind after he had whistled a warning. But the cars didn't care. They were feeling very pleased with themselves. They're laughing all the way through. "Beg your pardon, sir," gasped Duck. "Excuse my intrusion." "No, I won't," said the barber. "You frightened my customers." "I'll teach you," and he lathered Duck's face all over. Look, he's got shaving cream all over his face. Thomas was helping to pull the cars away when Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "I do not like engines popping through my walls," fumed the barber. "I appreciate your feelings," said Sir Topham Hatt, "but you must know that this engine and his crew have prevented a serious accident. It was very close. It was a very close shave." "Oh," said the barber. "Oh, excuse me." He filled a basin of water and washed Duck's face. "I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were being a brave engine." "That's all right. I didn't know that either." "Oh, you were very brave indeed," said Sir Topham Hatt, "and I'm so proud of you." Sir Topham Hatt watched the rescue operation. Then he had more news for Duck. "And when you are properly washed and mended, you are coming home." "Home, sir? Do you mean the yard?" "Of course." "But, sir, they don't like me. They like Diesel better." "Not now. I never believed Diesel, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry, and they want you to come back." A few days later, when he came home, there was a really rousing welcome for Duck, the Great Western Engine. And so that is the end of that particular story. It was called Diesel's Devious Deed. He was lying about Duck, and he had everybody convinced that he was right. And that really wasn't fair. We mustn't lie about each other, our friends, or our family, or anybody. So, this next book is called Muddy Paws, and I believe it is by Moira Butterfield and Simon Mendez. So it was written by Moira Butterfield and illustrated by Simon Mendez. So here we go, Muddy Paws. I think it's a story about a little dog and a little boy. It was a very special day for Ben. He had a new puppy. "I'll teach you all the things I know," said Ben. "But first, I need to choose a name for you." I'll need to think hard about it. It has to be just perfect. I don't really mind what name you choose as long as you give me lots of cuddles, thought the new puppy. Let's see, I'm going to just move this a little bit so you can see all the pictures a little better. Ben looked around his bedroom to see if he could find an idea for the perfect puppy name. I'll look in my storybook, he said, but none of the names in the book were right for his new puppy. I think I'll leave you to hunt for the names, thought the new puppy. I'd rather look behind the flower pot. The little puppy crept over. He sniffed, and then he climbed into the flower pot. He did not mean to knock the flower pot over, but that's just what he did. Oops! He made muddy paw prints everywhere. Let's go to the park. I might be able to think of a good name there, said Ben. I'd rather look behind that tree, thought the little puppy. So he ran, and he ran. Oh, look, he's found a kite behind that tree, hasn't he? Here's the tail of the kite. He didn't mean to jump in the mud, but squelch. That's just what he did. He made muddy footprints everywhere. Ben's neighbors were having a party in their backyard. One of the guests might be able to think of a good name for you, said Ben. Let's go and ask them. I'd rather look in the pond, thought the little puppy. So he leaned over the pond. He leaned over just a little bit more. And what do you think happened? Splosh! He fell right into the pond. He made muddy paw prints everywhere. We'd better go home and clean you up, said Ben. I'd rather go digging in the backyard, thought the new puppy. So he dug and dug and he dug. This time he found lots of things. He found a lost ring. He found an old wrench and a toy car that Ben had lost. Look at all the things he found. A ring, a wrench, a tool that your dad might use, and an old toy car that had been Ben's. He didn't mean to bring all that mud indoors. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. That's just what he did, though. He made muddy footprints everywhere. You can see the footprints on the tile floor. And he didn't mean to find a name for himself at all, but guess what? That's just what he did. You are the muddiest, funniest puppy there ever was. There's only one name for you, laughed Ben. Muddy Paws. And that's what he called his little brand new dog, Muddy Paws. And I thought that was kind of a cute story. Okay, now we have one last story here. It's called Nathan's Fishing Trip, written by Lulu Delacaire. Now, this is a little story about a little elephant and a little mouse who go fishing together. Nathan was packing sandwiches as Nicholas Alexander untied the boat. Now they were set and ready to go. Very early, they had gathered everything needed for Nathan's first fishing trip. They had 2 fishing rods, they had hooks and lures and flies, a bucket for the fish, and the worms, of course, the worms. These are all things that you use to try to catch a fish. You go fishing. The boat softly and swiftly crossed the waters to the rhythm of the motor's sound. All of a sudden, Nicholas stopped. "This is a good place to start your fishing lessons," he said. "Sir, first you tie the hook to the line. Then you throw it into the lake. You sit very still and you wait. You just have to wait." "Can't I hold it yet?" asked Nathan. "Please?" "Well, fine, but sit in the center and be very, very still." "Something bit. Something bit," cried Nathan. "Hold the line tight and take it in slowly," exclaimed Nicholas. "Oh, oh, oh," Nathan shouted. "There's a fish on the hook." "It swam away." "It swam away with my fishing rod," cried Nathan. "It is quite all right, sir. We still have the other rod, and we have enough lures and hooks to make a good catch," said Nicholas. "Just wait, you'll see." 3 hooks, 5 lures, and 7 lures later, Nicholas declared they had to try something better. "Yes," he said, "I think the fish around here must like nice, fat, tasty garden worms." Nicholas Alexander looked for the worms. He emptied the can. He ran the sides of the boat, but he couldn't find one. He sniffed and searched for the worms. They looked all around until at last they found a hole in the lunch bag. And they found a fat little worm was nibbling inside. Here's the fat little worm. Nicholas threw himself on top of it, but it squirmed away. As you can see, it's squirming away from him. Then Nathan threw himself on top of it. And Nathan the elephant, can you imagine him throwing? What's going to happen by throwing himself on top of the worm? Just what you would think, a big splash. Over he went. "Grabbed it," cried Nicholas Alexander. He straightened the boat and recovered everything but the rod. So now their fishing rods are all gone. Bottom of the pond. "I told you to sit still," exclaimed Nicholas. "It's going to be quite impossible to fish a trout without a fishing pole. We might as well forget the whole affair." "I got an idea," said Nathan. He took the worm with his trunk. Now, they did find the worm, but they lost their rods. He took the worm with his trunk and he plunged his head into the water. He's using his trunk like a fishing rod, isn't he? A few minutes later, he emerged beaming proudly, holding a beautiful rainbow trout. "It's magnificent," exclaimed Nicholas. "Congratulations, my friend. Quick, put it in the bucket. I can't wait to roast it and taste it." Tired but happy, they steered toward land and docked the boat. They built a nice warm fire and prepared everything for a late, well-deserved meal. The trout was still bouncing and struggling inside the bucket. "This one is going to be quite delicious, moist and tender, and sprinkled with lemon," Nicholas said, licking his whiskers. Nathan peeked inside. He watched the trout for a while. "It's such a pretty fish," he thought. His face saddened. "Do we really have to eat it?" he asked. Good question. Well, Nicholas looked at Nathan. Then he looked at the trout. He tilted the bucket toward the lake, and as the trout swam away, he said, "No, sir, I think we can be quite content with peanut butter and cucumber sandwiches." And that's what they had for lunch. As you can see, there they are, enjoying their peanut butter and cucumber sandwich. Well, that is the end of stories for today. I do have some announcements to make for you and for your parents. Just let me get them over here. First of all, on November the 8th, from 5 to 7:30 p.m., there is going to be a public discussion on the Booth Wynn Town Center Vision Plan. And you're all invited to come. It's going to be at the Community Action Agency, 1414 Meeting House Road in Booth Wynn. And it's to have a discussion of the future of Booth Wynn's Town Center. And everyone's invited. Everybody's ideas are needed and wanted. And we still have Mr. Andrew, who is singing and storytelling and dancing at Kingsman Park in Upper Chichester, Pennsylvania, on Tuesday mornings, and that's at 10:30. So the weather's been good, so he's been continuing to do this. That's sponsored by the library. Then we also have our Upper Chichester Library Zoom book discussions. The book that's being discussed this year is Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend. And the Zoom meeting will be Thursday, October 28th at 1 p.m. The moderator is Sue Mulvihill, and you just contact the director at Upper Chichester Library Organization to register. You can just go online to the Upper Chichester Library in order to register for that. Then we still have, just to mention, our Wool Gatherers virtual crochet classes with Hannah. We have free crochet kits to go. The next one coming up is November 5th, and she will be showing you how to crochet a scarf. So there will be 1, 2, 3, there's going to be 4 more classes, November 5th, November the 19th, December the 3rd, and December the 17th. So she'll be showing you how to make different kinds of things. The scarf is on the 5th. A baby blanket is on the 19th of November. The Christmas ornaments will be in December, as well as a ribbed granny stitch cow. So come to the library and pick up your free crochet kit and join Hannah online. And I think that is all of our announcements for today, and I hope to see you all again next week. Have a great week. Goodbye.